Okay, I'm finally back out here a week later again. This has gone on for a long time. This is the first time I've ever heard the units turn off. We just brought one back online and now we're waiting around for them to normally cycle back on. I could hear the glycol flow inside here because these are hydronic units. You could see the pressure and the flow rate. And in this application, they do have a business, like say a maintenance engineer or their facility engineer, which is just somebody they're teaching. He was never a professional, but we're actually instructing them how to maintenance and clean their own systems. And when you have a large enough facility in a commercial or industrial application, you get to a size where it pays, and we finally kicked on over there. Now, in the last couple weeks of me coming out here, until this unit came back online, none of these units 24/7 have never kicked off while I was out here. For hours per day, for day after day, they all stayed on. It wasn't until that next 10 tons of capacity came in did these finally cycle off. That was the first. And the coil on that one is clean because I cleaned it out. And then I will be sending them a video, and I just took this apart and put it back together in front of their maintenance so-called engineer, who will be learning how to do this, to instruct him how to watch wires, take out a motor, wire tie wires, make sure they're not rubbing. There they all go. So now it has system capacity and it'll be cycling now. It now has the ability to work. Without that extra 10 tons over there, all these units were 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. They never turned off in the last couple months since I was supposed to come out here and fix that one with the refrigerant leak on it. So I watched them cycle off. I watched them all cycle back on. So now I'm satisfied I can leave the job site. Never just finish, clean up, put it together, turn back on the power and walk away. Let it go through a cycle or two, and then you're good to go. And you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's. So I'll be sending a video for HVAC school Vortex by Tex. And that's one of the best channels to watch for learning anything as a beginner, to learn things you don't know and relearn things, how does he say it? Relearn things that you forgot you should know, something like that. You'll see when you watch the videos. But HVAC Tex, Vortex by Tex. No, HVAC school Vortex by Tex. And I'll be sending them the video on coil cleaning by Brian Ord, and it'll show them the detailed methods I just showed their guy on coil cleaning, so he can repeat that on all the other coils. And that's part of my job, is to help educate others who want to get into the trade, or facility managers or beginners, how to correctly do something so they could start off. And instead of paying me $400 to come out and clean a coil, they could have one of their techs at their labor rate do it for their facility managers at a fraction of the cost, which of course as a business owner you want that dollar, but another thing is I'm trying to save my client money at the same time. I have a lifelong relationship with the client, and when we get out here and install an LG unit system with the VFR to replace these systems, I told him keep these systems as backup in place, and we'll install the new units right in this nice clear spot, and he'll have redundant backup, because this is an industrial facility manufacturing plant and it needs to be up 24/7. It could never be down for a broken down unit. So by them purchasing another system, they'll have double backup redundancy. And these units are only a couple years old, and they've broken down multiple times because they were made by Cerna, and that's what Cerna does, is I'm sure now will break down. Their coils, just after 3 to 4 years, are just rotting out like a dead apple. And flow switches went out on them, a couple fans, capacitors. You know, you never, in an industrial application for commercial production where you have a high value construction, whether you're metal fabrication or you're like Pfizer, a drug manufacturer, or you're a culture, you know, some sort of, you know, severe medical place where you have hundreds of thousands of dollars of production going on, and you could lose it by losing a unit or having a whole system go down. You never use residential. These are residential units. They're cheap Goodman residential units that all they did was throw a 3-phase motor on it, single phase, I mean 3-phase, but you have a capacitor for the fan motor. Now, if the fan goes out, it doesn't matter if the compressor stays going because you're going to take out the unit. The last thing you want something to be has a capacitor. We all know in our professional industry, in air conditioning, capacitors are guaranteed revenue. It is guaranteed to break down. If you want to make a system guaranteed to break down, you use one with a capacitor. This is a commercial application. They have 3-phase. There's no reason to have anything single phase. In a manufacturing process plant that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, you go that extra mile and you use something that is 3-phase or ECM or something like that. You will also, if a contactor goes out, don't replace it in this application. Don't replace it with the cheap one that first came in there. Look for a higher duty rating capacitor that came on the system, like the original one. We're going to give an example. Say the original one was rated for 30,000 cycles. Well, you go out and look for a contactor that's rated for 100,000 cycles or 1,000,000 cycles. Yes, it'll cost twice or 3 times as much, but for your customer's peace of mind, he won't be paying you out there to come out in a year or two to replace it again and his facility go down and him lose tens of thousands or $100,000 production run because the system is down. It's all about taking care of the customer and making sure he has good product. So every time you replace something, replace it with something better when it comes to a commercial or industrial manufacturing plant. Like the capacitors, instead of the cheap Chinese or even the cheap American made capacitors that are electrolytic, replace them with thin film cap, polyester thin film cap type capacitors. Something that'll at least last 10 years, not go out in 2 or 3 years like all these capacitors do. That's it for now, until the next video.